Welcome to the Ballistic Report. I am your talented host, Ike Moore, and this is the show where we break down pop culture. Now, as you guys know, this show, for the most part, is very positive and we try to have a lot of fun. But let's be honest, this past week hasn't exactly been the most positive week for news. First and foremost, we should send our condolences to the family and friends of obviously one of the greatest performers of all time, Prince. I think this one surprised everyone. No one saw this coming at all. Now, me personally, I caught on to Prince much later in life. I'd say about 10 years ago, he did a special performance on American Idol, and that was the first time I ever saw him, and I was like, man, this guy is awesome. And ever since that day, I learned more about him. I saw Purple Rain, which in my opinion isn't really actually a movie. It's more of a work of art, what he was able to do with that film. And I always appreciated his unique point of view. You know, he always did stuff differently from other people, and that's what set him apart from other artists. And then as a wrestling fan, I was hurt that we lost probably one of the key figures in the WWE Attitude Era, and that was Chyna. One of the pioneers of women's wrestling, and really showed that women wrestlers can be as tough, if not tougher, than the men wrestlers. So while this whole week wasn't exactly perfect, there were some lighter stories I wanted to touch on. So without further ado, let's get started, shall we? Don't let those smiles fool you. There's a lot of drama going on between these two. So for those of you who don't know, this past week it was announced that Michael Strahan would be leaving his position at Live with Kelly and Michael for a full-time position at Good Morning America. Good Morning America hasn't been doing so good in the ratings, so they figured bringing in Michael would sort of bring in a surge like he did when he first joined Live back in 2012. The controversy truly began when, after they taped Tuesday's show, Michael had a conversation with Kelly and the executive producer backstage and let them know everything that happened, and Kelly was PO'd that she did not know about this before everyone else. This caused her to go on a week-long strike and not come into work for the rest of the week's shows. Now, as I'm recording this, it's been announced that she will return this Tuesday. However, another report I read said that these two haven't been getting along for a while, and it was only a matter of time before one of them was going to leave anyway. Now, coming from a guy who doesn't really know how these television deals work, I don't blame Michael, because while they did seem to have a very close friendship, a deal like this should be made public by the big bosses in charge. Now, you could definitely make the argument that maybe an executive should have let her know beforehand, but whatever the case may be, I really hope this turns out good for both of them. Michael has made a great transition from football star to television star, and I would hate to see these two end bitterly. Now, the question comes up. Who's going to replace Michael? And not only who's going to replace Michael, who's going to replace both Michael and Regis? Reports are saying that Neil Patrick Harris is one of the front runners, and I wouldn't mind seeing that. I mean, he has a good personality as well, and the last show he had, Best Time Ever, didn't do so well in the ratings, so this would be a good comeback for him. But maybe they'll do something real different and just have it be called Live with Kelly and just have her with a different guest host every day. That would be cool, kind of shake things up a bit. But like I said, no matter what happens, I wish them the best. And the last thing I wanted to touch on is Barbershop, The Next Cut. This movie has been getting a lot of love from people. It has a 92% critic rating on Rotten Tomatoes. It was number 2 last week at the box office. And in my opinion, it deserves everything. Now, this movie isn't all the way different from the previous movies. It still has the concept of people coming together, talking about the issues of today. And while there is a lot of comedy in it, especially from Cedric the Entertainer's character, Eddie, where this movie really shines is the messages about anti-violence, especially since this movie is set in Chicago. Some of my favorite parts in the movie had to do with Ice Cube's son, who is affiliated with a gang, and he finds out very quickly that it isn't all it's cracked up to be. Two things that really stood out for me was the interaction between Ice Cube and Common in this movie. For those who don't know, they had a very heated feud back in the day, so to see them both on screen together was pretty cool to see. And this is going to come to a surprise to some of my longtime viewers. I enjoyed Nicki Minaj in this movie. While she isn't in the movie for too long, they made good use of her character, and it didn't seem like they were shoving her down our throats either. So I think I would give it a 9 out of 10. The only reason it's not a perfect score is because some of the jokes don't exactly land, but that's common for a comedy. Not everything's going to make you laugh. But I think for the most part, I had a very great time watching this film, and I highly recommend it. But my question is, since Ice Cube, you doing a lot of sequels these days, when are we going to get another Friday movie? I think this would be the 4th one. When are we going to get a 4th Friday? Who do we have to pay? Who do we have to write letters to? Who do we have to tweet? I'll do anything. Even if it ends up being a Netflix movie, let's make it happen. And that will do it for another edition of the Ballistic Report. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Remember, all of my social media outlets are in the description box below. If you're new here, welcome to the family. Click that subscribe button and stay tuned for my wrestling channel coming soon. And stay tuned after the credits as well, because I got a little something, so make sure you watch to the very end of this video for something special I taped. Nothing too earth-shattering, just what I found hilarious. Until next time, I've been your talented host, Ike Moore, reminding you it's okay to be ballistic as long as it's done responsibly. See, this is the type of stuff that gets me angry. Check this out.
Thank you for joining us tonight. Jimmy Kimmel coming up next with stars of Captain America, Civil America.
Remember, you can find it.
Civil America? Really? You don't read any comic books? It's Captain America's Civil War. Ugh.